Hi guys, welcome to my channel. So the first thing we need to understand is being a victim is different from having a victim mindset. You could have had something really bad happen to you in the past, and you could have been traumatized by it, and that kind of shaped how your life turned out. So this means that you were once a victim to that situation or that circumstance. You're a victim when you are in the center of it, like things are still happening to you. You might be in a traumatic relationship. You might be going through something. You are still in the center of it and you need to get out of it in order for you to heal. But victim mentality is different. Victim mentality is that you still think about life the way you used to in the past because of the experiences that happened to you. But having a victim mentality means that no matter what happens in your life, you are looking at it like, what the fuck? Why me? Why is this happening to me? I don't understand what's happening. Why are things happening like this? No matter what I do, I never get ahead. No matter what I do, I'm always stuck in this loop. And no matter what I do, all things which I don't want are always coming to me. If you have this kind of a mindset, this is the victim mentality mindset. This is a mentality of a loop that just keeps getting worse and worse till you actually learn to recognize it and break the pattern. You might be thinking, okay, great, that sounds amazing, but who are you to talk to me about this victim mentality? Let me tell you that everybody has something in their life which was traumatizing or life-changing in some way or the other, but it all depends on how you look at it. So for me personally, one of the biggest things that happened to me in my life was when I broke my leg, and this happened in a college sporting event. I was literally running a relay race and I fell, and my femur, which on my left leg, which is supposed to be the strongest bone in your body, broke and snapped into two pieces. And every time I tell this story, I don't tell the story like I am the victim. I tell the story like I am the survivor of the story. I don't say it like, oh my God, I broke my leg when I was like 14 and it was really bad. They told me to stay in bed for 6 months. They told me I could never do sports again, blah, 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 blah. This could have been my story, but that is not the version that I took for myself. That is not the story that I thought would be my reality. When somebody asks me about what happened in my past, you know how I say it? Oh yeah, I did break my bone like when I was 14, but I still do everything. Like I started doing sports again after 4 years. I was doing competitive sporting on a national level. As part, when I broke my leg, it gave me a lot of free time to think about life and think about what I wanted to do. And since my lower body, I had to rest. So I started working on my upper body, and then I had all these biceps and triceps and traps, and it was really cool. And once I have that, like I still have that, body shape because I did that work back then. Did you see what I just did? I just flipped the whole script into something that kind of benefits me. So if you are a victim and you know that you're somebody who keeps playing these loops in your head and who keeps falling back to that same patterns, here's some things you can do to completely flip the script and start living in a new reality. So the first thing is to accept it. Like regardless of what has happened to you in the past, you have to come in terms with it. You have to accept that you cannot change the past. There is nothing about that you can change. And once you come to that realization that that is done and that is gone and there is nothing you can do, you can actually start to look forward to something else in life, because our brain can only focus on one thing at once. So if your brain is focused on the past and those traumas and those cycles, you cannot use that energy to focus on the future. So instead, stop yourself every time you see that you're starting to think about the past or the patterns. Instead, accept that whatever it is that happened to you in the past is done, and you can choose today to start a new life, a new reality, and you will. Nobody in this world owes you anything. Many people like to play the victim game. My cards were not dealt right. Well, guess what? The world is not a fair place. Everybody is dealt different cards in life. Just because you see that, oh, somebody else has this perfect life that looks amazing from the outside, maybe they're having a mental breakdown on the inside. You never know. So nobody's life is perfect. Some abuses, some traumas you can see from the outside, and some you can't. Everybody is fighting their own internal battle, and don't expect anybody to treat you a certain way, because nobody owes you anything. In the end of the day, you are your own person. You are the only one responsible for how you feel. And if you don't like the way you feel, you have the complete freedom and the power to go and choose something else which makes you feel different. If you keep going back to that same thing that makes you feel stuck, that makes you feel unwanted, and it makes you feel like a victim, that is your reality because you are not willing to change it. Pay very close attention to your thoughts, because your thoughts are what create your reality. So every time you are thinking about the past or the traumas or the ways somebody or something or some circumstance made your life bad, guess what? You are putting in a negative energy into the world, and you are going to get back off that negative energy in your current reality. Listen carefully. Even if you're thinking about the past and thinking about the emotions that the past made you feel, you are still feeling that emotions in the present. And this feeling, this vibration that you give out is eventually going to come back to you in your future as well. So in order to break the cycle, it's important to keep a control on your thoughts. What I like to do when I'm noticing that I'm going into this emotion of feeling bad is stop, spot, and swap. What this means is your brain can only focus on one thing at once. So when you see that you are going into this loop, stop yourself from thinking about it, notice it, spot that you are doing something wrong, and then swap it with something else. This leads us to the next thing, which is journaling. So for me personally, journaling is amazing. This is the thing I use to always swap my thoughts. So every time I get this feeling or this unease, which I can't really understand what is happening, I take out my journal and I start writing. And I ask myself questions like, why am I feeling this way? Is thinking about it this way benefiting me in any way? How can I look at this differently? Like, ask yourself the same questions, and you yourself will give you all the answers. All the answers that you're looking for in the world, all the therapy that you want is already inside you. You just need to learn how you can communicate with your inner self and bring out this inner wisdom. And for me, I think the best way is journaling. So if you think this is something that you struggle with, like controlling your thoughts and understanding your deeper emotions, try journaling. Practice self-love habits and routines. So this could mean different to everybody. You could like cooking, you could like cleaning, maybe it's singing or dancing, painting, going on a walk, going for a run, working out, whatever it is, whatever your thing is, find it and find time in your daily routine to add these things which you know that you're doing for yourself. And this really helps develop a feeling of self-love, because a lot of victims usually struggle with the feeling of self-love because they haven't had a chance to love themselves for so long because they've been through so much. So this is your chance to work on yourself, do the things that make you happy. The next thing to do is gratitude. Gratitude, gratitude, gratitude. Focus on gratitude. Even in the worst of times when nothing seems to be going your way, there is always something to be grateful for. And gratitude is not just about saying thank you to something. It's actually a frequency that we give out. Like when we are grateful for something, we give out a very high frequency. It's like the frequency of love. find reasons to be grateful in your everyday life. Like every little thing you have, you can be grateful for. And like I said, your brain can only think one thought at a time. So if you're focusing on the gratitude, your brain does not have the capacity to focus on the lack and the gratitude at the same time. So you are going to stay in this high vibration because you are choosing to focus on these high vibrating things. The next thing is acts of kindness. I don't know what it is, but when you have something and you give part of that something to somebody else willingly, it just makes us so much happier. It's like a human trait. Like the more we give to somebody else, it makes us feel good. On a very high perspective, we are people pleasers. We like doing things for others. And there is just something very powerful to give to somebody, to do good to somebody when you are feeling the lack. You're struggling with wealth, go give out wealth to somebody else. Like even it doesn't have to be a big thing, but as long as you're doing some kinds of acts of service, it really comes back because karma keeps score. The universe keeps score. Nothing you ever do with a good intention goes unnoticed. It's going to come back somewhere in your life in some way or the other. Trust me on this, okay? So do acts of kindness, do something good. It doesn't have to be monetary. It could be your time, your effort, resources, just giving out something for free, anything, like any small thing which you can do to help somebody else will drastically make you feel better about yourself. Next thing, I left this for the last because this is a little bit harder for most people, which is to forgive and let go. Like regardless of what has happened in your past, if you keep holding on to that feeling of grudge or hate or revenge, it is not going to bring you any good. There is a saying that holding on to hate or grudge is like drinking poison and hoping that the other person dies. And this is so accurate in so many ways. Think about it. When you have malicious or bad intentions towards somebody else, you are holding that vibration of evil and hate and anger, which is like low feeling emotions. Like you are holding on to those emotions. It's not the other person. The more you have the grudge or hate towards that person, you are actually holding on to it. And the universe is going to bring you more reasons to be hateful and vengeful because you are holding on to those emotions. So the better thing is to forgive and let go. Even if you cannot forgive, forget and let go. Maybe they did something to you which is unacceptable and you just don't think you can forgive them at this point in your life, but still don't hold on to that bad emotions and feelings. Instead, just let it go. Think that they've died. Like this is what I told one of my clients, like think that they don't exist anymore. Like why would you hold all this grudge and anger towards somebody who's not on the earth anymore? Like why? Just let go of these emotions, not for them, but for yourself. And the last thing is challenge your perception of reality. Throughout our life, we have conditioned our brain to think a certain way. And most people out there just look at life like, okay, there's a body, there's the external environment, and that is all we are. But that is not the whole story. We are very spiritual creatures with a soul. Before you might have thought that, okay, anytime somebody does something bad to you, you have to react the certain way, or you have to think the certain way, or you think that maybe they are doing this because of some certain thing, but you can always challenge your perception. There was a time when I was not into self-help, and I used to literally see quotes on Instagram and be like, oh yeah, this situation relates to me. So what they say must be true. So maybe I should follow the advice. At that point, I did not know if that advice was good for me or not, but I would still follow it because I felt like, oh yeah, it makes a lot of sense because it talks a lot about the situation that I am in right now. But trust me, there's a lot of information out there in the world, and you only want to take advice from people who you think are at a place where you want to be. Don't take wealth advice from somebody who is not at a financial place where you want to be. Don't take mindset advice from someone who does not have the kind of mindset that you want to have. I see a lot of people on the internet, even though they are super successful and living their best life, they still think from the mentality of a victim. They might have all the success in the world, but they still don't find that internal peace because they are so attached to that emotions from the past. They're so attached to that toxicity and the victim mentality. There were so many points in my life when I could have completely gone on a different track. When I broke my leg, or when my dog died, when my boyfriend cheated on me with somebody else and then left me. These are all like times in my life when I felt like my life was over. Like literally, these are instances when I prayed to God to like take the pain away. I was like, God, please show me a path that will help me take this pain away, and I will work towards whatever it is you give me. And these were also the things which led me to where I am today. I would not be the person I am here today if I did not have those traumatic experiences in the past. And every time I had one of these heartbreaking traumatic experiences, it has always been a quantum leap for me. Reason I got into the self-development space like 5 years ago was because I wanted to get over a bad breakup. Like seriously. Somehow I came across this book which was The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck. So I read that book, and that book got me reading the next book and the next book and the next book. And then within a year I had read like close to 100 books, and that was what like catapulted my self-help and self-development journey. So there is always something good that comes out of something bad, and that is the flow of life. It doesn't mean that there has to necessarily be something bad in order for something good, but sometimes in life we don't know what is the path we're supposed to take, and the universe just puts circumstances into our life which directly or indirectly pushes us towards the path that we're supposed to take. And the important thing to remember is you are always in control of your story. This is your story. You are the protagonist of the story, and you decide how you want the story to play out. Do you want your story to be, oh yes, I'm here today because of all the things that happened to me in the past, I am a victim? Or did you want your story to be, I am a survivor, I am here today so that I can share the things that happened in my past which made me who I am